for Segal. That will be your order. And so, Mr. Cotton, your 3 minutes starts.
Thank you. My name is Darryl Cotton, and I've been a resident, commercial property owner in San Diego since 1979.
Sorry, we're going to have you speak into the microphone.
Okay. So I get my time there?
Yeah.
We'll give you time back.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Darryl Cotton, and I have been a resident and commercial property owner in San Diego since 1979. And here today is a victim to bring to this commission's attention the public safety threat that exists in our community from the adult use cannabis industry as a direct result of the city not enforcing safe city ordinances where it requires background checks of those with an ownership interest in these businesses. The San Diego Police Department, despite having been made aware of the fact ownership interests are not being provided to them, have refused to publicly respond to our numerous queries to the tenant owner of one of these businesses to be properly vetted if their ownership interest is not provided. The answer is clearly no. But what we're requesting is that written verification from SCPP that unless that ownership information has been provided to them, they have no way to know if mandatory background checks and the owners cannot engage in commercial cannabis activity. To date, no one at SCPP has been willing to provide us with that verification. We seek the Commission's assistance in seeing that state of the issue. These are all cash businesses. They don't accept credit cards, and they bank won't account for them because they sell legal product, cannabis. And average monthly gross sales of one of these businesses would be $1 million. That's a lot of money, especially for a cash business. The law requires and we need to know who has ownership interests and that they have passed the background checks before entering granted these interests. The state and state laws require that these interests known are very long established. What I will be doing is handing out this document, which is right from one of our secret websites, and that contains Sherlock. She follows them. All of these presented today, including the video of the school hearing, will be found at her Justice Range website. Since December 2023, there have been 21 San Diego grand jury complaints filed by multiple parties, including attorneys, who have found that an underlying issue in all of these grand jury complaints that disclosure laws are being violated, and police seem powerless or even unwilling to do anything about it. These complaints are being investigated as they are held over to July 2024 grand jury term. In the case of Jesus and Andreas Martinez, those complaints were submitted that describe their activities in illegally obtaining PNSPA loans and capital for dispensary owners who misrepresented their type of businesses to the federal government. This is called a strongman practice. It's illegal form of influence peddling. What is happening in Chula Vista is happening here at about 50x rate. There are 2 long-established ordinances, which you'll see on the website, and we'll address later. But when I began this statement, I referred to myself as a victim. And please read my statement regarding an armed robbery that took place at our 151 farm business, in which the San Diego Police Department had a getaway driver and handcuffed and let him go at the scene without ever filing charges. While no one was killed in that robbery, the same cannot be said for what happened in the Sherlock's, other than occupied by Sherlock. I can be reached by phone at 619-954-4447 or on email at 151@gmail. I am happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cotton. Next, we will call Joe Hurtado. Your 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Joe Hurtado. I'm here with the anniversary of the people who are all talking about something very simple. Although it's very less very we have been talking about information at a high level, it's very simple. There are a group of people who made a lot of money in San Diego side of cannabis who do. And you used to be able to operate a dispensary and call it a nonprofit, who really operated for profit. And this was a big young San Diego goal. These people made millions of dollars. A lot of it got caught. They got changed by the city of San Diego today that operated for offering legal dispensaries, didn't have the proper permit, and they would pay fines. The amount of money that they made more than enough covered the fines that they had to pay the city. This was after California legalized cannabis. In 2016, the state of California legalized for-profit sales of cannabis. This changed the game. All of a sudden, you could sell cannabis and make a lot of money. The problem was the state of California required you to apply on to get some controlled substance. California and the city of San Diego got a license and go through background. And one of the things that they required was that if you got caught selling drugs illegally 3 years before you applied, you're qualified for a license. That makes sense, right? Like, hey, you're a drug dealer. you don't get a license to sell cannabis in Oregon. Especially in San Diego. So what happened is these people, there's a group of them in San Diego, they're wealthy, they're powerful, they're politically connected, they're lobbyists, they have great attorneys. They started using proxies to acquire the licenses to get the dispensary. So hey, you got not selling legal dispensaries, you still want to own a legal dispensary, so you put it in your friend's name. In our case, we have someone named Larry Urosky who applied for a license to sell cannabis in the name of his secretary, Rebecca Berry. That's illegal. You don't got to have a legal knowledge or background to understand. If you want to get a license in the city of San Diego to sell cannabis, you get a lot of money, I mean millions and tens of millions of dollars. You got to qualify. But the people who want those licenses, historically have been drug dealers, have been caught, a lot of them qualify. So they hired political lobbyists and attorneys like John Austin, who, as of this date, is a very famous, prestigious attorney who the city hires and treats well and ostensibly respects because she's famous. But what they've done on this case is we've gone to the police and reported and said, hey, you cannot have somebody selling drugs in someone else's name. And the police say, you are right. You're right. That's illegal and criminal. But we're not going to do anything about it because it's too big. What you're talking about, a large group of people selling cannabis and paying off people, is too big for us to handle. They told us to go to the FBI. I went to the FBI. They said, you're right, but they're doing it illegal. Go back to the police. I went back to the police. They did nothing.
That's no fault in Sherlock. Now, Amy Sherlock has two people, Carl Jackson and it was season time. Is that correct?
That's correct. Hi, my name is Amy Sherlock. I flew in from Dallas today to this meeting. I'm the widow of Michael Biker Sherlock. Biker was a husband, father, business owner, and professional athlete who was an X Games and Round Games champion in downhill skateboarding and street league, and hometown hero here in San Diego. In 2015, Biker was awarded 2 cannabis licenses and organized multiple businesses with his partners. I was blindsided and devastated when he passed away December 2nd, 2015. SDPD and the medical examiner told me he died by suicide. I believed that for 4 years. Through litigation research, I have learned that Biker's interests were transferred to his partners through a series of forgeries. Biker's LLCs were dissolved by forgery and submitted to the California Secretary of State after he died. The partners organized new LLCs went on to be in business without my knowledge through the use of these forged documents. In fall of 2022, I hired a private investigator and an independent medical examiner to investigate and look into the police report, autopsy, and crime scene photos. Both were reports that SCPD and ME did a subpar investigation and pointed out multiple points of evidence determining that Biker's cause of death should be changed from suicide to, at a minimum, undetermined. This was all done collectively in a report called Armorous. December 2nd, 2022, Darryl Cotton, Hurtado, and I met with Sergeant Joel Tyne of the Cold Case Unit. We described how Biker's partners had the motive to eliminate him. He agreed with us and agreed to look over the information. 5 months later, Sergeant Tyne finally called me back for multiple emails, and he said, quote, there is a ton of motive behind Biker's death, that there was no real physical evidence to support the investigation, and he said he would not open one. Determined to get more justice, provider, I hired Scott Roeder to do another analysis and create a video. His analysis came back with Biker's death was 100% inconsistent with self-inflicted gunshot wound. In February of 2024, Biker's partner, Dwayne Alexander, came forward with information that my signature was forged on a conflict of interest waiver. With the assistance of an attorney, they dissolved his businesses without my knowledge and transferred everything to their partners. On March 1st, I made my first call to SCPD, filed a police report to get this forgery and fraud investigated. In the 187 days since that phone call, it has been the most profoundly frustrating, intellectually and insulting job I've ever had. I have made 78 phone calls with San Diego PD, sheriffs, and CPP, and I made 20 with my local PD. I have gotten nowhere. I've left 6 detailed messages with the Financial Crimes Unit on March 1st and March through May of 2024. I never received one single message. On June 6th, I filed a formal complaint with Internal Affairs. Getting nothing in return, I filed a complaint with you guys, CPP, on July 1st. Receiving no active assistance and having continually to follow up on my complaint, I've spoken to an email to Ms. McFarland multiple times, but she's either confused, unwilling, or unable to open an investigation for me or assist me getting my case file. McFarland provided the phone number for financial crimes unit, where in my complaint, I stated I already left them 6 messages over the last 4 months. McFarland further insulted my intelligence by implying that I'm dumb enough to be calling the wrong number, and somehow the voicemail identifying as financial crimes really wasn't. Since filing my complaint, there's been a web of confusion, reassignment, delay, and zero communication. My case has been reassigned at least 3 times to Nielsen, Lopez, and Pizza. Officer Boris Martinez has told me that SCPD doesn't have email. And I needed to send my report by mail. When I got this ridiculous and untrue statement, I asked him to call the department and coordinate the email. He said that SCPD does not have an internal phone system that allows them to talk between departments. The phone number that another detective gave me actually went to somebody else's voicemail, and it has been literally a cluster of who did it, where to go, and nobody really knows. Since my complaint, I've not been given a case number, assigned a category, been given a CPP investigator, or talked to an internal affairs investigator. My police report that SCPD and Ms. McFarland have managed not to file or get investigated for another 65 days, still has not been assigned to a financial crimes detective. Still. To all appearances, SCPD has intentionally prevented an investigation into a crime against me, and that crime is connected to the murder of my husband. The why, how, and who involved is within this commission's authority and responsibility to investigate. We're looking for justice here, and we're hoping that you guys can help us. The obvious path to justice is a special task force in Category 1 to investigate the financial crimes against my family by Hurtado and to demand that our laws are enforced. Cannabis industry ownership, as required by law, must be accurately and fully disclosed for public safety. To that end, we request written verification from SCPD that unless ownership information has been provided to them, there is no way that SCPD doing that legally required a background check. Thus, the owner cannot engage in commercial cannabis activity. To date, no one in SCPD is willing to provide us with that information. We seek this commission's assistance. Please help me and my family. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to call 2 more speakers, and then I will respond just briefly to your comments in reference to receiving activities that pertains to this. Okay, we'll do that as you can.
And good afternoon. My name is Michael Segal. I have been a cannabis political activist and anti-prohibitionist since I was 15, so for about 53 years. What has happened is you guys have a responsibility to guard the guardians, to make sure that what's done in enforcing law is done lawfully, fairly, and equally. What's being presented is here are experts that have let the police department know we do not see. These aren't people off the street. These are people who make their living doing medical exams, examining the evidence in a crime scene. And they tell an officer through this report, there is definitely physical evidence. This officer appears to be willfully negligent. The only reason a sworn officer whose duty is to uphold the Constitution, uphold the law, would not do that have to, I'm sorry to say, be corruption. There is enough other evidence in the reports that have been attached to what you commissioners are being presented with. Please read them. This is an incredibly complex case that has been made incredibly easy because of the way that the evidence has been organized. Take a look at it. Please do your duties. Make the police behave lawfully. Make the police enforce the law. How is it a driver from a robbery is in the back of a car, come, and yet somehow there's not even a police report to the effect that this man has been arrested? This isn't an accident, this isn't, just someone spacing out. This is deliberate malfeasance, and it's on you. You have that responsibility. You have chosen. I'm sure no one came around and drafted you to be commissioners. You decided out of your desire to see law enforced properly to become commissioners. I'm asking you, for the sake of everyone in this state, that you do fulfill that duty. They're not asking us, they're asking you to please have the police department verify that if they're not giving a name, they can't verify whether or not the person who has that name is legally allowed to have a license. And state law requires it. It's not a vague thing. It's not a permissive law. It's mandatory law, using the word shall and elsewhere using the word must. Not, well, if you get around to it. Please do your jobs. Make the police do their thing.
And we finally will call you. You actually did oh, you did 1 minute, because it was Candace and you and some other person, you did 2 women. Stevie, you're not down. Good, Stevie, is down. Can I have 30 seconds? We'll give you a minute. Okay.
Again, just to circle back, the Justice Party website has a litigation section, and there's been a massive amount of litigation associated with this, but it all boils down to the same thing. Even all 21 grand jury complaints. If these people that apply for these licenses, and it's a hugely profitable business, it's all cash, do not disclose themselves, there's absolutely no way Sandy will do their job. So when that brought to their attention, we said, listen, it's your position that you can vet somebody that's not listed as an applicant, they won't respond. If we just could get that response, that verification, that unless you are, and this is by city ordinance and state law, a required mandatory disclosure, undisclosed, SDPD cannot do their job. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll wait for me to draft. We'll wait for the mic to be drafted.
That's it. Okay, first off, my condolences, absolute condolences on the loss of your husband. And so that's the most important, first off. Secondly, what I'd like to say is in reference to Mr. Farland, I've been here 2 months as the executive director. And during that time, Mr. Farland was our one person for compliance. In my time here, I've seen nothing but, this is the first time I've heard the contract, but I have seen him provide my daily and making sure that she is helping the family, helping the plans the best she possibly can. Here's the problem, and this is one of the issues that we are facing right now. She's stuck in the middle, quite frankly, because of what we have, where we are right now in the setup with the CPP. We can review the cases that the police department has done, and we can find whether we believe them or not. Independent investigations we cannot do at this point. We have to go through a whole meet and confer process with the union. All right, that's going to take some time, maybe a couple of years. To that point, what I'm finding is our folks are doing the very best they can under trying circumstances to get families pointing in the right direction and to get answers from the police department who are doing the investigation. So that's probably what you're experiencing. So what I need, you and I will talk later, but what I know, and I'm not, like I said, I understand that, but I do feel the need to stand up for my folks, right? Okay, and I'm going to do that all the time. However, I know you have some documents. You're going to leave the forehead. Where is the forehead going?
Back there.
Be somewhere. He's going to take the documents from you. We're going to make sure they get with our minutes, and we're going to move on, and then I'll be back with a couple of people. I want to make sure I clear the record. Okay.
And we have one more.